Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the highest stakes chess tournament of the entire calendar year. This is the Grand Swiss. The Grand Swiss is a tournament which is exactly in its name. It's not a tall person from Switzerland. It is a tournament where chess players are paired against each other based on the amount of points that they have, and the average strength of this field is completely ridiculous. It's probably something like 2,600 ELO, and the prize for winning it or getting second place is a trip to the Candidates Tournament. The Candidates Tournament is an 8-player tournament. The winner of the Candidates plays for the World Chess Championship. So 2 people from the Grand Swiss are going to make it to the Candidates. This is round number 1. We've got Hikaru playing, we have Fabiano playing, and at the same time as this tournament, we have the Women's Grand Swiss. So we're going to be seeing an incredible batch of players over the next 10 days or so, with some rest days included. This first recap is spectacular. We have Hikaru, we have Fabiano, we have Hans Niemann playing in the event. We have an amazing game, and this game at the end features 3 queens. So you can't really ask for a better recap than this. Let's just jump right into the action. Magnus is not participating because he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to participate in the World Chess Championship cycle. I'm not sure Magnus is going to play in the Candidates at all. So that's why there's no Magnus, because he's not qualified by anything other than rating, I'm pretty sure. Also, I would just like to say a major thank you to all of you that have gotten the book. The book came out yesterday on October the 24th, and there was a live in-person event in Brooklyn, New York, which sold out. There are a couple more events, November the 4th and 14th. Link will be in the description for all of you. 4th is almost sold out as well. Free ice cream and a book signing. And if those do well, I will travel a little bit more around the US and maybe like London and Europe to do some more of those. Thank you all for coming out. It was an amazing time. And talked to 250 people, took some photos, signed some books, signed everybody's book, I think. Hikaru begins his campaign against Rasmus Svanet, who's a German grandmaster, young guy. Hikaru goes for an Italian. An American, a German, play an Italian in the Isle of Man. Knight f6, bishop c5. Black plays this setup with h6, h3. And the game opens up on move 14 when, after a bunch of maneuvering that neither you nor I understand, so therefore I will skip it. There are other YouTube channels that will probably spend 20 minutes on each of these moves and the history. I'm not going to waste your time with that. You don't care. I don't care. Nobody cares. d5 on move 14. Hikaru's transferring his knight in an e4, e5 position to the g3 square. Rasmus plays d5. Now there's about to be an explosion in the center of the board. White can take on e5. He can also take on d5. He can also do nothing. If he does nothing, black is probably going to take a couple of times and then take and then get the bishop out. So very high chance everything gets traded very quickly and the game ends in a draw. But Hikaru takes on d5 and allows black to plant this pawn here and do this. Okay, so clearly this move by Hikaru is prep. I don't think he's winging this. But the computer likes black's position here. Like, if you look at Hikaru's clock, you know, he played knight f1. He took 6 minutes on that move. And then I'm assuming he decided to go for this entire sequence relatively quickly and play f3, trying to get rid of this. Either it's prep or he's just making things up. We have a trade and queen f3, and black just went queen c6. And Rasmus just had a nice position. He's just going to develop his bishop and his rook. And Hikaru's not really getting off the ground here. You know, it's taking him a little while to kind of get back into the game. Black transfers the bishop back, and around here, you'll notice Stockfish is loving black's position. Like right here, the 2 bishops staring down at white's position. Apparently here, Rasmus could have just gone for it. Now, obviously, Hikaru had something in the... He was not just going to like lose if the move h5 happened, but the computer was loving black's position here. Thought that black had very, very good activity. Knight f4, knight e4 opportunities. But Rasmus takes and does this, and Hikaru trades and just reroutes the knight a couple of times to the f3 square, and he's just a moment away from consolidating, and he trades the knights, takes the pawn back, and now it's a dead draw. It's a dead draw. There is still a little bit of life here with, you know, enough pieces, but at the end of the day, it has to do with the bishops, because the bishops are on an opposite color, and both sides have the exact same pieces, like queen, rook, and 5 pawns. Very likely that the game will end in a draw, and the players do secure a position in an endgame where, despite black being a pawn up, opposite colored bishops are virtually unwinnable. And we get this position where, by a miracle of God, black does not hang checkmate in 1. And the players make a draw. Rasmus plays queen f5 and does not play on in this endgame because this is a draw. Opposite colored bishops. Black cannot really make any progress despite being a pawn up. So, probably not like the start Hikaru would have dreamed of starting in this tournament, but he didn't lose. And he was never really in any danger of losing on a human level, but on a computer level, the computer was just ready to start slaughtering. I don't know what Hikaru's idea after h5 was, but I would imagine, you know, black would have went here, and Hikaru would have taken the knight. For example, bishop d2, here, he would have taken maybe rook e4, rook f1. I don't know, but the computer is loving the position here. Fabiano Caruana started with the black pieces versus Ivan Shadic. Shadic is a Croatian grandmaster, very good player, formerly 2700, and Fabiano came to fight. I mean, he said... I saw a photo online that said Fabiano lost his suitcase. Well, he didn't lose it, but the airline did. Which is like sort of an amenity of flying now. If you fly in the year 2023, you should just be ready not to have a suitcase when you land. That's why I always bring my stuff on the plane. Okay? Knight f3, d6. Fabiano plays the most confrontational Sicilian there is, the Najdorf. That is just a silent indication that you want to fight. It's like in hockey. And if you watch hockey, two guys look at each other, nod their heads, puck drops, gloves off. We don't even, like, non-negotiable. Bishop d3. This is a pretty big sideline. There are no less than 15 moves against the Najdorf Sicilian, and bishop d3 is actually one of them. And now black plays g6. So kind of, you know, if in this position black went g6, it would be a dragon Sicilian. White would play here, 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 and long castle. But now that white committed to this move, black says, you know what? I'm going to play g6. It's kind of like a Dragendorf variation. And black immediately plays b5. So from Fabiano's prep, you can tell that he probably spent a bit of time here, 10 minutes. I mean, he was probably remembering some analysis. He was probably, or maybe he was trying to deviate from his own analysis, maybe like knight c5 or whatever. And Shadic played a4, which is a principled move, b4. And now this move d5, striking in the center of the board. And a very tense moment. Black breaks chess principles, moves multiple things 2 times in the opening before castling or anything like that. But tough position for white, because if you take, you allow this. If you allow this, then you're just much worse, because black just gets very powerful dark squared bishop. If you don't take, I'm going to take you. I'm going to open up the center. So here Shadic thinks, plays bishop h6. Spends 25 minutes on that move. Now there's a rule in chess, especially in classical chess. If you spend 15 minutes on a move, it's going to be a bad move. If you spend 25 minutes on a move, it's going to be terrible. Like, you are definitely going to regret it. There's a lot of moves in this position. Also, there's a hanging pawn, which is probably just like a slightly missed detail. But black will get rook b8, queen c7, knight e5, and very quick attacks on this queen side here, which I guess white did not want to bring together. So Fabiano takes, and despite Fabiano not being castled, he takes. And now Shadic does something weird. I mean, I would have taken here with the pawn, but I'm also not playing at the Grand Swiss. We have take, and queen c7. Another very tense moment. Which way will white castle? Will white castle at all? Will black castle at all, right? Because black can't castle this way, and I'm assuming black's not going to go that way either. Shadic castles short, and Fabiano here can play bishop b7, bringing out his bishop. If queen g7 hitting the rook, there's always rook f8. He can play knight f6. He can play queen c5, pinning and threatening the move e5. He could play e5 right away, but it's a very committal pawn move. You kind of might, you know, bonk the knight into your own attack. It goes here. And here, Shadic must have watched one too many Gotham videos, because in this position, he sacrificed his rook. And I'm not yelling it because it did not have the intended effect. Rook takes f6 is a very interesting move, because now the queen slides in and he wins this pawn. And Shadic must have thought knight f4, knight d5, queen e7 mate. And if black plays queen e7, I'll play queen c6 check and I'll win his rook. So rook takes f6. But when you play rook takes f6, it's like going all in. He's got an hour on the clock. I mean, the other guy's going to figure it out. Rook f6 might work in a blitz game. I'm not saying it was a bad move. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you got to be damn sure when you give away a rook for a knight, that's it. You're playing one of the best calculators on the planet. His middle name is literally Stockfish. Did you know that? Fabiano his middle name is Stockfish. His parents named him Fabiano Stockfish Caruana. I'm not even sure Stockfish existed when he was born in 1992 or whenever he was born. Queen G7, Queen F6, and Fabi just goes here. So, again, Shadic gave away the rook. Like, he knew what was going to happen. And then he spends 3 minutes, plays knight f4. Again, Shadic's idea, quite simply, like let's say black plays rook d8, is to go knight d5. If bishop takes, pawn takes, and then rook takes d5, there is rook e1. So knight f4. Queen d8. What does white do now? How are you going to attack me? Check, I block. You run to the side. I bring my rook. In this position, the only move for white is apparently
Queen b6.
And the idea is like, let's say queen c5, queen b7, queen d4 check. Black's king is stuck in the center. Shadic misses that. He doesn't go queen b6. He plays knight d3. And now f5. And now queen b6 is too little too late because the black rook is plugged in. The black rook is plugged into the attack. Or defense. Knight f4, f takes. Fabiano cleans up, completely defends himself, swarms back, and just avoids getting checkmated. Queen f2. This is coming. Rook c2 is on the way. Queen f5 back if I ever want to play defense. Queen f7 if I want to play defense. And Shadic resigned. A very, very nice game. Very, very nice game. Fabiano starts the Grand Swiss with a win with black. You literally can't ask for anything better. Fabiano fans, stand up. He is definitely making the candidates. And Fabiano is now, after that game, Fabiano Caruana is 2798. He is now 30 points away from Magnus Carlsen. The last time somebody was 30 points away from Magnus Carlsen was a very long time ago. I think it was 2018. So he is back, and he is the number two he's the number 2 in the world, and it ain't close. I got more games for you. I got Hans Smokey Neiman versus Elham Amar. If you don't know who Elham Amar is, by the way, Elham Amar is actually Elham Abdurlauf. That was, I think he adopted the last name, I guess it would be of one of his parents. Because I don't think you can just choose a last name out of thin air. I've had that, I've had situations like that before. I know folks that like just take on a different last name from one of their parents or the other. But he's a very strong young player from Norway. And he has talked trash to me like no less than 20 times over Blitz games on chess.com, of which he wins most. And he's been a good player for as long as I've been streaming. So this is a very exciting matchup because they're both very strong players. This one, not a Najdorf, but a classical Sicilian. Bishop to g5, this is the Rouser variation. Queen to d2, a6, and Hans just makes a bunch of preparation moves. He develops everything, plays this, bishop g5, it's all typical Sicilian stuff. Now it's Elham who actually takes the knight, queen takes, and queen c7. Also, Hans is spending a lot of time in the opening, like bishop g5, queen d2. I don't really know what he was thinking about. I mean, I don't know why he needed 6 minutes to play queen d2. Like, what else could he have? I don't even know. f3, king b1, etc. And now queen goes back to d2. So black is up 30 minutes on the clock. Then he plays b5. He's still not thinking. Hans plays h4. Black plays h6. He's still not thinking. h5. He's still not thinking. Elham has played every move instantly. Bishop g5. Hans is now down 37 minutes on the clock. b4. He's still not thinking. Knight to e2. a5. He's still not thinking. This is apparently all prep. c4 played by Hans. Black spends 40... What? Black... 54 minutes. What? Bro played 16 moves. Memorized. He memorized the moves from his opening course. And in this position, white can take en passant. White can take the pawn. Both moves are bad. I guess e5 and then bishop f6 and queen d7 ideas. Black can also play like queen b7, bishop a4, pawn to a4. Black could castle. Castling is bad because it allows white to play pawn to e5. But, oh my god, he spent how much time on this move? And then on his next move, he spends another 5 minutes. And now he's back, right? He gets the setup that he's looking for. Meanwhile, Hans just puts the knight on f5, right? That move that you just spent an hour making, it just gave Hans an idea. Knight here and knight here, right? So he's trying to put the knight on f5. And that's exactly what he does. Now, Elham strikes back in this another 20 minutes. Now he's down to 20 minutes. This dude goes up 40 minutes on the clock, right? Oh my goodness. So now, oh my God. My friends, there is a dog behind me. And he just farted so badly. Oh God. Oh my God. I'm not even I wish you could smell this. Y'all got, I mean, oh dear Lord. I couldn't even hold it together. I was like, you know, there's that meme. Ah, that's me right now. Oh, wow. I'm going to take him out after this is over. He's just napping. He just farted in his sleep. Disgusting. Bishop takes and pawn takes d5. Okay. So the reason why Elham that was nasty. The reason why Elham played this move d5, he knew he was going to lose the pawn, but desperate times call for desperate measures, right? And if he was not spending so much time, he might have played queen c5, he might have prepared it a little bit, but he decides to force this position where he's a pawn down, but he feels like he's going to be all right. Yeah, no, Hans just goes d6 and g4, and black tries to create counterplay. Hans takes, black tries to create counterplay, Hans attacks, black tries to sacrifice a bishop to create counterplay. 30 seconds on the clock for Elham, and yeah, it does not go very well. Rook g7, Rook g5, hitting the queen. Oh, I think there might be a follow-up. King d2, and he just gets out. He just walks his king. And very nice game from Hans Niemann. Rook h5, nice little tactic. After king h5, there is queen h7. That was easy. I mean, that came easily for Hans. I mean, he spent a lot of time, but he played a lot of good principled moves, controlled the bishop there, and then this one move just like really just befuddled black, who went for a certain setup that allowed white to get the knight to f5. And I think there was just a lot of self-doubt at this point. Black forced the position where he was a pawn down. Nice little removing the guard tactic. Just a very nice game from Hans. Now, I told you I would end today's recap with a very, very, very fun game. This is another very fun game. This is Max Varmerdam versus Levon Aronian. And this game, I want to show you something. This is a 4 knights English where black, instead of taking this knight and getting hit with a center pawn fork, and then bishop b4, and then de5, and then knight e4, and then queen d4, and then knight c3, bc3, bishop e7, there's this line. Instead of going for all that, Levon plays queen e7. And let me tell you something right now, my friends. The pawn structure you see on the board resembles the one and only Eric Rosen's Stafford Gambit. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight e5, knight c6, knight takes and pawn takes. And now, basically, what happens in the actual game itself ends up resembling that position very closely, because if you look at this position, this is exactly what happens in the game. Look, except white has a pawn on c4. So white got an extra move. But is that pawn on c4 good or bad? Look at black's position. Look at black's activity. This is amazing stuff. Queen c2, black goes knight g4, and Levon just fires with f5. The position's equal, but he sacrifices a bishop to open up the center. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. An avalanche down the ED and F files. White has to defend himself. He gives away the bishop and he castles long, but he loses the g-pawn. Material balance has been restored. Now we're in an endgame. Queens and rooks. b6, h5. Levon playing quickly and confidently. g5. It's a completely equal position. Black is a touch better. Black has a little bit more activity, and this is a backwards pawn. Backwards pawn is a pawn that cannot move forward. The opponent completely controls the square in front of it, and it's also stuck behind pawns. If it had a pawn here, it would help. Rook g4. Levon taking space away, and he's playing. Look at Levon, just every move very fast. Rook c4 is a nice little tactic. And you see, Rook c4 was not possible a move ago. So Black went g4, setting up probably Rook c4. White could have maybe played Rook e5, but Rook c4 is just smooth. And if takes, Rook takes, and Queen e3. And maybe in this position, Max thought he had this move, but he gets hit with Rook c2. And the point is that after take, Rook h5, Black's Rook is more active. And Levon plants the rooks on the second rank. This is a masterclass in how to play Rook endgames. Rook d2, he wins the pawn, and wins that pawn. And he's going to win that pawn as well in the moment. 2 pawns, and this is 4-on-2. And he's going to march down. He is going to take all the space. b3 check, and in this position, Parmadam just resigns. He can keep the king close, but after something like Rook g3, King c4, you can try to run. I'm going to put my rook here. You're going to come back, and I'm going to pry away your defenses. What a game, and what an opening. What an opening from Levon. This super topical line in the English. Knight takes e5. I've never seen to move Queen e7 in my life. But now, I'm going to start thinking more about it. It's just a gambit. It's an aggressive gambit line. Look at that. He just developed his pieces. And he won a great game. You know who else won a great game? One of these guys. If you had the patience, I'm about to blow your mind with this game, all right? Jan Krzysztof started with an English, but we didn't have what we had last time. Black plays h6. This is some new kind of like modern way to play the Queen's Gambit decline. You prevent bishop g5. There's another thing that folks have been doing, which is playing like in a Catalan style. They do this, and then they play h6. And they prevent bishop g5, then they play bishop d6, and then they play knight c6. This is what they're doing nowadays. They're putting the knight in front of the c-pawn. If c5, they just go back, and they prevent bishop from coming to g5. So this is kind of like a similar edgy approach with an early h6, bishop d6, and Black will not play knight c6 in the setup because Jan Krzysztof just takes a bunch of space, right? A lot of pawns. All right, terrific. Black plays a6. Black is going to stop this because he's going to chop. Excellent. White castles. Okay. Knight bd7. White plays a4. Black plays e5. Outstanding. Black advancing in the center of the board. White can take or ignore. And he ignores. Black takes more space. White undevelops the knight to d2. Black plays knight h7. You will notice neither guy is thinking. b5. f5. Both guys are playing as if the other does not exist. Knight b3. Trying to cause some trouble over there. Black plays a5, trying to seal the position. A big mistake here would actually be to rush this move b6. Be rushing this move. You don't want to rush this move just yet. Duda plays queen d2. His idea is to put pressure on the pawn on a5. And you'll notice Black spent a lot of time on that move. Queen d2. Now Puya Idani plays g5. g5 is all in. g5 is, if white goes g3, it doesn't even matter. Black's playing f4. After that opens, Black's going to put the queen here, put the knight here, put the knight there, put the knight... Black's going for mate. Black's going for mate against this king. White is going for I don't know what. I don't know how white is going to win the game by getting over here. Ooh, knight a5. Now, if you don't take, right, if you just don't take, and you play f4, I take this, then I take this, then I take this. So your attack is going to fall apart very fast. So if you take... Now I reveal the secret threat, right? And then if you defend your rook, I will take, and then I'm going to play knight to e7, deflecting your queen away. So we have knight d5, c d5, queen a5. Now, my friends, in case it's not obvious, white is going for this, and black is going for this. Now, I'm going to turn off the eval bar. And I'm going to show you how absolutely horrifying this attack looks for white. f4, a5, f3. Many of us would poop our pants. Then we would start thinking about the position. Pawn to f3 attacks a lot. If you get out of the way, I take and I hit your rook. You got to do something. You play king g2. I'm going to get in here with my queen. I'm not going to trade queens. A queen trade benefits white. Look at these monster pawns. So instead, white took. Black didn't take back. Bishop h3. If the queen gets on the g file, it's a wrap. And you can't take because that helps the queen get to the g file. So bishop h3, guess what? He just plays a6. What? How is that possible? Pawn takes f3. Now he has to take. He can't avoid this. He takes. Now black responds and pawn takes. Why pawn takes? Because this is you gotta get a queen. You gotta get a queen because a queen is gonna hit a rook. But who cares about the rook? Look at g4. Oh, what a move. Now again, black could have played other things. Knight to e4, trying to hit the bishop. Then I would have went a7. Black would have taken. But then I got a queen and it's check. You come back, I take on d5. I'm too fast. I'm too powerful. You're not mating me. B takes a6, pawn to g4. And he plays queen b7. Trying to make sure a queen trade happens. And then rook a8 is played and the pawn is promoted. Black says queen e6 because I'm going to take and I'm going to go queen g4. White gets the bishop out of the way. Black plays knight to g5. That's it. I mean, it's knight f3 check. It's queen g4. a7 on the board. We are one square away from queening, but knight f3 check has arrived. White now has to take and then take. It's over. Because queen g4. And a lot of you would say, but what about king h1? Queen g4 anyway. Rook g1, bishop g2. Oh my god, you get smothered in the corner of the board. This is insane. It's over. Black has a right. He's going to win the game. It's not about the queen. It's not about the queen. It's about the protection of the other queen, queen b8. Not only does this move win, it also prevents checkmate. I guess I should have said that backwards. Not only does it stop checkmate, it actually also wins the game. Now if queen g4, I just do this. And my queen is the savior. If bishop takes f1, I just make a new queen. And when the dust settles, I will make a new queen. I will take with a check, and then I will grab the bishop, and then I will make a new queen. So queen to b8, an absolutely ridiculous move. Black still has some checkmate threats with queen h3, but now white plays the very cool, calm, and collected pawn to a8. That pawn secured the promotion, which allowed white to make the buzzer beater defensive comeback. The second queen is secured, and this game hung on a knife's edge, but it is Jan Krzysztof Duda who emerges, because after take, take, check, I would just take the bishop. I could even go here and run my king to the center, but it's all winning. What an absolutely ridiculous game of chess, which, I mean, it was black completely all in and losing at the very last moment. And throughout the event, I will be covering games from both sections, from the women's side and also from the open side. So keep me posted. I will try checking the comments if, like, it's round one recap and there's amazing games going on in round two. Post them on the recap, the previous recap. I will try to check, and we will see who wins this tournament. We will see what the race for the ratings is, like who is at what. Fabiano number 2, Hikaru number 4, Alireza number 3. Who is making the candidates? Who is going to be contending for the next World Chess Championship? FIDE Grand Swiss, round number 1 in the books. Get out of here and keep getting the book. It got up to like number 25 on Amazon. That is absolutely insane. You're all incredible. Bye.